Okay, so you've probably seen Iran all over the news lately, and honestly, the headlines can be a lot to take in. So let's get into the why behind it all. We're going to break down what's really happening, and more importantly, why it matters to all of us. First up, let's dive right into the immediate situation. The events that are putting Iran at the absolute center of the world's attention right now. This handwritten note from our source material really gets right to the heart of it. It asks the exact question we're here to answer. Why is Iran in the news? Well, the immediate story starts with some pretty dramatic recent events. And our source material puts it bluntly. It's because of massive nationwide protests against the government. But what's really driving this? It's this powerful mix of economic hardship, political frustration, and a really strong call for change. To really get a handle on what's pushing people into the streets, you have to look at the economy. Think of it like an intense pressure cooker, and that lid is starting to rattle. So what are these economic triggers exactly? Well, the numbers paint a really stark picture of the daily struggles that millions of Iranians are up against. First off, this inflation rate is just staggering, over 43%. That means the cost of just, basic stuff is skyrocketing, making everyday life incredibly difficult and flat out unaffordable for so many families. And at the exact same time, the country's whole economic engine is just sputtering. GDP growth has slowed down to its lowest point in 5 years. That means fewer jobs, fewer opportunities, and a smaller economic pie for absolutely everyone. And here's where you can really see the human cost of that slowdown. Nearly 4 out of every 10 working-age Iranians are unemployed. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a massive level of joblessness, and it's a huge source of frustration and despair. So the really crucial point here is that this isn't just one thing. It's like a perfect storm. You've got decades of these crippling economic sanctions coming from the outside, hitting at the same time as all these internal problems, like people losing trust in the government and this deep, ongoing desire for political change. But to really truly get why these protests are so significant, we have to rewind the clock a bit. Because today's headlines are really just echoes of a long and turbulent history. Modern Iran was literally forged in revolution. I mean, look at this timeline. It shows this incredible arc of history. It starts way back with the ancient Persian Empire. Then, if we jump ahead to modern times, you see this critical turning point in 1953, a coup backed by the US and Britain that puts the Shah back in power. And that move sets the stage for the massive, seismic shift in 1979, the Islamic Revolution that created the nation we know today. This is so fascinating. It gives us this dramatic before and after of that 1979 revolution. On one side, under the Shah, you had this rapid, pro-Western modernization, but also a lot of repression. On the other side, you see the shift to the system they have now, where a supreme leader has the final say over everything, and the powerful Revolutionary Guard operates alongside the regular military. Understanding this one change is the key to understanding modern Iran. And look, these recent protests didn't just come out of nowhere. They're part of a really clear pattern. If you look back, you see the massive Green Revolution in 2009, the widespread Masa Amini protests in 2022, and other revolts sparked by purely economic failures. Voicing dissent in public has become a recurrent part of life in modern Iran. All right, let's zoom out a bit and look at the world stage, because where Iran is located is just as critical as its history. It really is a nation at a global crossroads. Yeah, a quick look at the map pretty much says it all. Iran's location gives it huge regional influence. And critically, it borders the Strait of Hormuz. That's the narrow waterway where a massive chunk of the entire world's oil supply passes through every single day. If you control that, you have incredible leverage over the global economy. And that global position is right at the center of the total roller coaster ride that has been the Iran nuclear deal. So in 2015, a deal was signed. Iran limits its nuclear program, and in return, it gets relief from sanctions. But then, in 2018, the US pulled out, and those sanctions came snapping right back, which directly feeds into the economic pain we were just talking about. Now, while its relationship with the West is, tense, Iran has some other very complex global partnerships. For a totally different perspective, our source material highlights the deep and specific relationship it has with another rising power, India. And this is not just a simple trade relationship. It runs deep. We're talking shared ancient cultural roots, vital energy needs. And if we look to the future, there are these huge strategic projects, like the Chabahar port, which are designed to create a massive transport corridor connecting India all the way to Europe, right through Iran. So you see how it's all coming to a head, right? You've got intense economic pain, the powerful memory of revolution, this incredibly strategic position on the world stage, and a recent history of people taking to the streets. All of these threads are weaving together in real time, and it leaves us with the one essential question. For a nation so defined by its past, what on earth does its future hold?